What's up, everybody? Roman Pino here, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about why most creatives stay broke and how to avoid it. I've gone through a season of my life where I was just hustling, doing all this creative work, and I was still broke. But in this video, I'm going to share with you the best things that I found, the tips, the tricks, the insights that's going to help you go from being broke to doing really well in your creative journey. Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by my free training, The 4 Secrets Media Entrepreneurs Don't Want You to Know. It is a great training for those of you that are looking for the insights into the media business. I kind of pull back the curtains on what it looks like to actually be running something successful, that is profitable, and that makes your life a whole lot better. I would love for you to go check it out. The link is right below this video. Let's get into the training. You could be talented, you could be creative, you could be hardworking, and you could still be broke. I know because I've been in that exact same position. And I'm gonna share with you a truth that is actually more important than all of this stuff about hardworking, creative, and being talented. It's all about the mindset. And in this training, I'm gonna share with you a biblical principle that just unlocked this for me, and it's gonna be a good time. So the first thing I wanna talk about is, big one. It's called the hustle trap. And yes, it is a trap. Let's underline this. The hustle trap. If you were anything like me, I was in the hustle trap and I would say yes to everything, thinking that more work meant more money. But in reality, it was more just hustling and just being in the trap of the hustle. But just like Martha in the Bible, from Luke chapter 10, verse 38 through 42, I was so caught up in doing everything that I missed the one thing that actually moved a needle for me, because I was just there hustling and being busy, and I wasn't really focused on being strategic in what I was doing and in my efforts. A lot of times creatives confuse busyness with business, and I want to let you know on one key thing that kind of changed everything for me within the hustle trap, and that is this. We're going to talk about service. Let's go back here. Service without strategy leads to, and I've experienced this, I hope all of you have not experienced it, but it's a real thing. Service without strategy leads to burnout. There was a time in my life that I was doing a lot of audio production, getting into video, getting into photography and that sort of thing. And I was at home, I was newlywed, and I remember I was just so excited about everything. And I was like, man, I could offer all these services, I could do packages and stuff like that. But I didn't have a really set strategy. I was kind of just swinging from the hip, or whatever that saying is, of like just doing stuff, freestyling and thinking I knew what I was doing. And all of that led me to be burnt out. And on top of being burnt out, I was neglecting, my new wife. I was neglecting relationships. I was neglecting a lot of stuff, thinking that what I was doing was going to make a lot of money. But since I didn't have the strategy of how to implement the proper ways in order to serve people, in order to use my creative abilities the proper way, I was just getting burnt out and being stressed out and not figuring out why, like, I had too much month left, at the end of my check. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have enough money coming in, and it was crazy because I was like, man, I'm so busy. I remember being on gigs and thinking like, even after I shoot this gig, I'm not going to have enough to even pay my rent coming up in a few days, because I didn't have the right strategy. And it got to the point that I was like so busy just going to gig after gig, working on this project over here, trying some new stuff, that I was just so sick and tired of being in like what felt like a hamster wheel all the time. So it just got to the point that I just said, you know what? I'm going to have to change some stuff up. I'm going to have to get trained on this. I'm going to have to learn the right way to do stuff. And it wasn't until that my mindset shifted into that gear that I was able to actually see some better results, as far as, not doing stuff the wrong way, but doing it the right way to produce a better outcome. I finally got to the place that I realized I don't need to do more. I need to do the right thing, because I got to a point that I was believing in myself enough to charge more. And that's a hard thing to do as well whenever you're just starting out and you're not super confident in your ability and you think like there's people out there that are doing way better work than me and they've been doing it for years and I can't charge as much as I can't even come close to what they charge, and you have that mindset. But being able to turn your mindset from, that's really a scarcity mindset, turning your mindset from that scarcity into abundance and thinking, I'm going to charge what my value is, and I believe that my work is going to actually produce some great results for my clients. Getting in that mindset is going to help you bump your price up so you're not needing to do hundreds of gigs. You're actually doing a lot less gigs and getting paid more. And it's also going to help your quality of work boom up more because you realize that this project is going to be your main focus and you're not like spinning your wheels on all these other projects. You're actually just focused, you're strategic on it, and you're going to produce some better work. So I hope this unlocks something for you of getting your mindset right and being strategic with how you do your work and who you work with. And yes, starting off, it takes some time to get there. But if you're on this video and you're in this training right now, you're in a great spot that you could actually do this and start implementing it into your own life, into your own creative work. And let's go to number 2. So this one is, what I was just talking about was actually really good to bring us to this point. Number 2. And this is, I like to call it offer confusion. Offer confusion. So when we talk about offer confusion, we're talking about not necessarily putting out something that is clear and deciding on something and running with it. I found the most benefits in my business was to make a hard decision and say, I'm going to run with this unless there's something that absolutely needs to adjust. But when I did that, I was just focused on this being very, very clear. And you should do the same thing, because if your offer is confusing, or if you keep changing it, or if it's too bloated with random stuff that doesn't even necessarily help your clients, it's going to be confusing to your potential clients and your current clients, because they're going to see just, their mind's not going to be clear on what exactly it is that you're going to be doing for them. And I've been in the place that I just thought like, I got to do this, I got to stack this, I got to offer this, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And it took me to a place of, I thought a la carte was great, but it was not great. It was confusing. And it took me to a place of deciding that I need to focus on the results my clients need in order to produce something that will get them to those results, not necessarily just filler or fluff or cool stuff. Like, something cool might have come out, like a cool trend might come out, and you're thinking like, oh, this is going to be it. But your client may not need that. That might negatively affect the results that they want. So you got to have the mindset of being clear with your offer and structuring it correctly and being laser focused on who your offer is for. It's huge, because the clarity is actually going to bring a lot more value to your people. And it also brings a lot more value to yourself, that you're not having to guess and like juggle a bunch of stuff around. You're going to be dialed in and focused on that offer. When I talk about confusion, I think about in the Bible, the Israelites wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, and they were confused on where their destination was. And it was 40 years. You and I don't have that kind of time to just throw out there and be like, oh, it's all right, I could be confused. No, we got to take action. We got to get results. We got to do this for our family, for our loved ones. We got to help those people out there that need help. And they just need to partner with us to see them reach results so that you could help them, So don't be like the Israelites that are just wandering around with no clear direction and they're just out there being confused. Don't be like them. Be smart, be strategic. So I have a belief shift for you, and that is wandering. It feels, make that E, like progress. But we'll just put the but over here. We'll put it in black. But clarity creates movement. I know in our businesses, we want to have movement. And sometimes it's confusing to just be wandering around and, doing a bunch of stuff and having an offer that is just like fluff and just filling stuff in. And it kind of feels like you are moving, but in reality, you're not moving. You need to get clear, because clarity creates that movement for your business and moving forward in the right direction. Okay, so number 3, this one is a big one, and I'm going to get a little bit more into some Bible principles with this one that it'll help you kind of unlock in your mind of how to apply this for yourself, okay? So number 3, that is, we're going to talk about pricing and positioning. When it comes to pricing and positioning, I'm reminded of the story of David and Saul. You may be like, oh, it's David and Goliath. It's the same story, but I'm thinking of a different moment within that story. It's whenever Saul decided he wanted David to put on his armor, and it didn't fit, and it was not David's thing. And he took it off, and he decided, I'm going to go out there and take care of this giant in my way and the way I know how to do it. And you may be asking yourself, what in the world does this have to do with pricing and positioning? It actually has a whole lot to do with it. David, he understood what he was capable of, and he owned it. And he went out there and he did what he knew he was able to do. When it comes to your pricing and positioning, you need to own it. You need to know what you're capable of doing, and you need to price for that value. You need to set your pricing for that value. Most of the time, creatives, we think we need to do high volume. We need to go out there and do a lot. And that's going to make us a lot of money. And we're going to be able to do this volume because our price is going to be low. That's a big no-no. That is a wrong mindset. I would even say that's a poverty mindset, thinking that you just have to have a low value and you're going to do a lot. Most of the time, whenever you do that, if you offer something that is low value, you're going to be attracting people that are not the best to deal with. And I would even say it's kind of back to the other point. It's going to create that burnout even faster, because those people that are trying to get something for a low price, they are typically the ones that are wanting more support, complaining more, finding more issues with what you're doing, just stuff like that, because it's something that, I believe that they are dealing with the poverty mentality too, and they're kind of operating out of that. So they're trying to find the lowest price, the cheapest. What's the cheapest? And if you're marketed at that low price, that's going to be your clientele. Sorry to say, but I've gone through that exact thing, and it was not a good experience. And if you're on this training now, you're in a great spot because you don't have to do that. I like to think of, something like a product like that does high volume, maybe like a fast food place or like a Walmart or something like that, where the pricing's low and it just has a lot of turn rate, and they just restock all the time, and they're out there. And probably a lot of you have seen different videos about crazy stuff going on at Walmart. The people that are in there with poverty mentality, they are, they're acting crazy, and they expect a lot more out of this place that's cheap because it's cheap. But if you're able to price your service and your offer for people that are more into stuff at a higher price, like let's say nice cars or multi-million-dollar houses or private jets or yachts and stuff like that, you could just get in your mind now that those people are two completely different demographics. And if your pricing is structured in a way that is low, you are going to be reaching that low demographic. Not necessarily, I'm not saying that they're a low demographic, but you're going to be reaching the people that are attracted to that low price. But if your pricing is high, you're going to be talking completely to the people that are attracted to that high price. And you don't need to be in a place that you are just trying to price everything exactly like everyone else does. You need to understand the value that you produce for people. You need to understand that the results that you produce is very valuable to these people. And I would recommend finding a way to set your pricing that you're not at the bottom of the barrel and you're not necessarily at the highest just yet. You need to be at a good range. So look at other people, what they're doing, but you don't need to do it exactly like them. Okay, that's really what this story about David comes down to, is that David didn't force this stuff to fit on and did it exactly like them. I believe that David actually understood, like, this is just a reference point of how these people did it. Maybe he took a few things out of how they did it, and he understood that, you know what I'm going to be capable of doing is completely different. And he went out there and did what he needed to do to go slay Goliath. So when it comes to pricing and positioning, have that mindset of, you don't want to be such a low price that you're attracting the wrong clients. You want to be at a good price that it'll position you in the market, that you're attracting the right clients so that you don't need to do a whole bunch of volume. You're going to do less volume and you're going to produce a lot better results for your clients. And the last thing I want to leave with you on this point is, you are not meant to be cheap. You're not meant to be cheap. You're meant to be valuable, and valuable stuff is not cheap. Just like I talked about these luxury vehicles and stuff like that, it's valuable and it is not meant to be cheap. And the service that you do as a creative, it is not meant to be cheap. So get that in your mindset of, what I offer is valuable, and I'm going to price to put me in that position where I am attracting the right people. So the last thing I want to talk about, I like to call it the turning point. The turning point for me was when I decided to get super clear on my offer, and super clear on the demographic that offer is for. See, many times as creatives, we just go out there and we are kind of just so creative and we're like, this is going to be awesome for everybody. That is not the case. You need to focus on your demographic that you're going to reach. You need to focus on the offer that is going to produce the best results for them. You need to be laser focused on it, very clear. When I stopped trying to do everything, the whole game changed for me. Everything changed completely for me when I just decided, like, I don't need to offer this all the time. I just need to offer this. It was huge because it was clear to the people that I was reaching, and it reached the correct people. And it was clear to me. There wasn't guesswork of like, well, I wasn't really a level 10 at doing this sort of thing. I was more of a level 4. And is that going to be productive for them? Just weird thoughts like that of like, this skill I was much more well-versed in. I was much better in it. And then I offer this to them. And now it's going to kind of fluctuate the quality of product that I'm doing because I wasn't clear. I wasn't decisive on what I was offering. And when I got clear on my offer, I didn't show up as like a hustler or just like as a helper. I showed up to these clients as a specialist. I was a specialist, just like we need to go to specialists whenever we have issues that we need to have transformation on. Like maybe you have pain in your teeth. You don't go to some crazy person that offers 50 different services. You go to the dentist. That is what they specialize in. And you feel comfortable doing that because you understand they're a specialist in it and they're going to get you the transformation you need, the results that you want from your tooth having issues. The same thing with like, you think of maybe like a plumber or something like that, where you're having issues with your plumbing. You're not going to go to some person that just works on cars, works in a warehouse or does all this other stuff. You're going to go to a plumber because they're a specialist. And what happens is we become specialists for our clients take notice, and our income takes notice. So here's a huge truth for you. Staying broke isn't about your talent. It's about your thinking. And Jesus didn't choose the most qualified. He chose the most willing. The people that were willing to do what he asked of them. So are you willing to take your business to that next level by transforming the way you think? Are you willing to do what you have to do in order to produce some great results for those potential clients, or even for your business, or even for your family? Are you willing to do those things? I believe you already have the gift. If you're on this video now, you most likely have the gift of being able to help people like that in the media industry. If you already have the gift, you're in a great spot. Now all you need is the structure. I hope this video was super valuable to you and helpful for you. But before we jump off, I'd love for you to go check out my free training, The 4 Secrets Media Business Owners Don't Want You to Know About. The link is right below. I think it's going to really help you like it's helped so many people. Go check it out. Just click that link below. Thank you all so much for joining me in this video. I would appreciate it if you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you all in the next one.